Hello everyone, my name is Lauren Hagger. Welcome to PSOP171. Today we will be discussing topics surrounding Units 3.1 to 3.3.
Let's take a look at Unit 3.1. Based on Frere's contribution to social pedagogy, here we will reflect on the core differences between the following concepts of education. We will look at banking education versus problem-posing education. Here, banking education attempts by mythicizing reality to conceal certain facts which explain the way people exist in the world. Such facts include power and inequality. Whereas problem-posing education sets itself the task of demythologizing as it unveils reality. Banking education also has a lack of creativity, and transformation as education is based on memorization, which inhibits ontological and historical vocations of the self. Whereas problem-posing education is based on creativity, as people are able to respond to the vocation of their authentic selves and apply critical thinking in an innovative manner. And lastly, banking education disregards the dialogue of students and rejects the ideals of consciousness. It instead perceives them as objects that contain and memorize information. Whereas problem-posing education regards dialogue as indispensable to the act of cognition and promotes the ideal of consciousness to form knowledge. Another concept of social pedagogy includes the head-heart-hand combo. We will look at these three concepts and analyze them in relation to care. Firstly, we have the heart. Care with the heart is about nurturing relationships with children through the use of practical activities. Care within pedagogy is based on empathetically conveying and understanding the feelings and actions of children and conveying the self within a limited capacity. Then we have the head. This is a type of reflexive pedagogy that focuses on understanding the actions of young children by analyzing continuous evaluations of formed relationships. It applies both academic theory and practical skills. The head cannot thrive without the use of the heart. And lastly, we have the hand. The nature of care with regards to the hand is experienced through shared practical activities, which includes arts and crafts and leisurely outings. These activities try to rid the thoughts of rejection in other areas of life and allows these young children to experience success in small yet more achievable ways. Next, let's take a look at Unit 3.2. In the following slides, I will illustrate how social pedagogy can be implemented into teaching practices by breaking down these key components. Firstly, we have the common third. It is structured in a triangular manner and deals with three subjects that interact with one another. We have the child, or a student, the pedagogue, or a teacher, and lastly, the shared activity. To practice this concept, the child and the pedagogue need to interact with one another through a shared experience or activity. We can implement this concept into our teaching practices in the following ways. The teacher could design an activity that allows both parties to share the potential for growth. Therefore, they would both develop a new skill that they can learn together. The teacher can also strengthen relationships with their students by implementing cooperative learning to achieve a specific goal. The teacher could also create activities that incorporate real-life experiences. These can test the students' limitations and boundaries and further promote self-confidence. And lastly, the teacher could also ask the students to help design a project concept that they would enjoy doing in class, instead of the teacher designing the project itself. Now, let's take a look at nonviolent communication. When we are faced with conflicting situations, using nonviolent communication helps us learn to be more observant about our feelings and needs, and gives us an insight into guessing other people's feelings and needs in order to make a reflective decision on how to react to that situation. We can implement this concept into our teaching practices in the following ways. We can use it through feelings, needs, observation, and requests. With regards to feelings, during conflict, the teacher should instruct students to distinguish their feelings first and express them without blame or judgment. With regards to needs, the teacher should help students expand their vocabulary on feeling words so that they can describe and pinpoint their needs. Observation. So, the teacher should reserve personal judgment to prevent defense triggers and develop a conversation with the students that leads to understanding. And lastly, requests. The teacher should use positive language in the classroom to change the tone from a demand into a request. Next, we will take a look at my identity. Firstly, I think that I'm very outgoing. I'm extremely sociable and I enjoy spending time with people. I'm also hardworking. I am a bit of a perfectionist and I always strive to ensure my work is the best. I am extremely passionate and I truly care about the things I do. I love to be humorous and it is a big part of my life as I enjoy making other people laugh and being sarcastic. I am empathetic. I can understand others' feelings and I am able to share my own feelings. I'm extremely loyal. I tend to be very supportive and trustworthy to those that I care about the most. I'm also creative. Art plays a huge role in my life and I thoroughly integrate it into everything that I do. And lastly, I think that I'm caring by nature and maybe sometimes I care too much about things. Now we will take a look at my values and beliefs. These values and beliefs include security, family, respect, and humility. I feel that everyone should have the right to feel secure in their own environment. I value my family as they have been extremely supportive to me over the years. I also believe in respecting others as it is a key component to understanding people and creating relationships. And finally, I also believe that humility is extremely important to have in life as it reflects the way you treat people and in doing so, how we are treated ourselves. So, these are my accomplishments that I truly value. Firstly, I moved to Vietnam 2 years ago. It was a big step as I would have to leave my old life behind me, but I wanted to pursue new avenues and immerse myself in different cultures. This helped me grow as an individual and established independence. I've also found my passion for teaching. After moving to Vietnam and teaching English, I realized that this career is what I wanted to pursue. In my earlier years, I really battled to distinguish what I wanted to be, but after working as a teacher, I began to feel excited and passionate about my new career path. And lastly, I'm also very proud of completing my degree in fine arts. It was a difficult challenge in my life, and I'm very grateful that I was able to accomplish it. Next, we are going to discuss my dreams, goals, and objectives. So, I've created a storybook of all my dreams, goals, and objectives. Firstly, we can see I would like to be able to run again. I've been battling with my major back problems, and I haven't been able to do my favorite hobby in months. I need to continue with my therapy before I'm able to go running again. Secondly, I have been working on creating illustrations for a children's book. It is called Bin the Bird. I would like to finish it within the next 2 years. I also want to move to Da Nang. It's a beautiful coastal town in Vietnam. I would love to live by the ocean, and it is my favorite place in the world. And lastly, I want to be an art teacher. I taught kindergarten and absolutely loved creating pops and guiding the children with their creative projects. It made me realize that I want to pursue this as my career path. Next, we will talk about my challenges that I have faced throughout my life. Firstly, I really need to learn how to let go of the past. I often struggle to move forward as I keep harping on my past mistakes, and it really reflects on my ability to engage in the present. Next, I want to take control of my anxiety. It is something that I've been struggling with for years, and it truly affects the quality of my life. And finally, there have been major lockdowns in Vietnam at this point, and I haven't been able to leave my small area or exercise for months. I'm trying my best to stay sane during this epidemic. After reading about a pedagogy of critical hope in South African higher education, I have analyzed how my life has endowed me with critical hope in the following ways. Firstly, I am unburdened by social or economic disparities due to middle-class privileges. I have access to higher levels and quality of education as my parents could afford it. I had more opportunities overseas due to my European heritage, and I had loving parents who have been able to provide me with security and a stable household. Next, let's take a look at Unit 3.3. According to Halting's concept of sociology, in order to understand others, we need to authentically connect with them. This is extremely important in the subject of visual arts, as we are constantly interacting with the ideas of others in order to inspire our own artworks and create deeper understanding of their works. There are two pillars of Halting's concept, one being regarding and the other comprehending. Regarding entails that we can only understand what we recognize of ourselves in others. Both the teacher and the learners need to be more accepting of people's strangeness instead of finding the faults that they are familiar with. Then we have comprehending. We need to embrace the otherness of different people to help us see a way of life separate from our own. Next, let's take a look at the 3 Ps. It is used to describe the different types of selves a pedagogue needs to develop when working with children. There is the public, private, and personal self. I am currently teaching English in Vietnam, and these are extremely important skills to develop due to the cultural differences and language barriers. Let's look at the public self. It helps us explain and understand a child's behavior. So, for example, during my English classes, many of my students are overworked due to the Vietnamese academic expectations, and I need to implement innovative activities to keep them interested in English. Next, we are going to look at the personal self. This is where we are able to clearly define the type of authentic relationship we want to build with the children. It is one that is professional, but open enough to create some type of connection with the students. The language barrier makes it quite difficult to connect with these students in English, so it is up to the teacher to incorporate their culture into an English learning environment. And lastly, we have the private self. We need to establish our own personal boundaries with our students by reflecting on how our behavior is interpreted by them. This is very important to establish, as our behavior might be interpreted differently due to cultural context. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it.